Don't let tax fraud mess up your retirement. Welcome back to the Retire with Peace podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dave Zagel.
Welcome to the Retire with Peace podcast, the podcast where we help you create a fulfilling and stress-free retirement. Each week, we bring you expert advice, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you plan and live your best retirement life. Whether you're nearing retirement or already enjoying your golden years, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Let's embark on this journey together and discover how to retire with peace.
I must admit, I had no idea how often tax fraud occurs in tax return preparation. I'm pretty naive about these things because I think fraud is dumb. I don't understand it. To be honest, fraud seems like it's a lot of work. And if you're going to put in a lot of work, how about we just do things properly in the first place? So for all of you out there committing tax fraud, quit it. It's dumb. Stop doing it. Just work hard, do it right. You'll be fine. But rant over. I had no idea until talking with some others, doing some research, reviewing articles online. I had no idea. And I'm not saying this happens all the time, but it happens a lot more than I thought, where tax preparers are committing tax fraud when doing the tax filings. And again, this is not to say that all the tax preparers are doing this by any means. It's still going to be a very, very small percentage of tax preparers that are doing this. The vast majority of tax preparers are honest. So I'm not saying that it's like some rampant problem, but it's still more than I would have thought, and certainly I like to see. So with that in mind, I wanted to bring you a couple of steps, easy steps, so that way you can know if something's not quite right with your tax filings, especially the federal tax filings. States are a little harder, but there's also not as much money there. So let's focus on federal. What we have learned is that tax preparers will do a couple of different things. One, they could promise you a big refund and then just fraudulently prepare a tax return that's incorrect to show that you get a big refund. And on top of that, what they could also do is they could give you a copy of the tax return that is proper, but then before they file it, they could change the return to make it fraudulent and get you a bigger tax return. There's different ways they can go about doing this, and there's also some that will just straight up like steal the refund somehow. I'm not very good with fraud. I don't understand it, but it's happening. Again, very, very small percentage overall of tax preparers are doing this, but it's still enough to at least talk about the easy steps to take to make sure that if somebody's preparing your tax return, you can at least have an understanding of if something is wrong. Okay, so 2 simple steps. 1, make sure you get a copy of your tax return. Sounds like a no-brainer, and it is. Make sure you get a copy. However, as I just mentioned, sometimes the preparer could modify it after filing. Okay, so that easy step doesn't really work if they're modifying it after they give it to you. So step 2, again, easy step. Get an IRS.gov login. IRS.gov. It doesn't take too long to get this set up, and it's really helpful. I recommend people have it anyway. That way you can review your federal tax information at any point in time. So why get this login? Because it's going to have all the data. You'll be able to look in there and see what was filed. You can pull a transcript of your tax return and see this is what the IRS has on file. Does it make sense? You might say, well, Dave, I don't know taxes. That's why I take it to a preparer to have that filed. And that's totally valid. Here's the really nice thing. AI exists now. So hang with me a second. We talked about this on a previous episode, so I'm not going to dive in too deeply. But there's a way to use AI safely with information like this. First, do not do this in just a free tool. You're probably going to need a tool where you have to pay a little bit. These things aren't super expensive. But if you can get a paid version of one of the AI tools, pick any of them really, but get a paid version and make sure that the settings in there are such that your information is not used for training purposes. There's a view in artificial intelligence that as soon as you put it in this artificial intelligence tool, it just soaks it up like a sponge and they have all your data and all this stuff. That's not necessarily true. If you are using a tool, especially a paid version, and you have the settings to where they are not using your data for training, then they are not using your data for training. Like this is what it actually says. And in a lot of cases, especially on a business plan, I know that there's an actual legal agreement that is saying we are not using your data for training. So first, if you're going to do this, get an AI version that is paid and has these safety restrictions for you. That way you're not uploading tax information to it. But here's the benefit. Take the tax return that you received in step 1, take that tax return, download the transcript from the IRS, let AI match it up. So if you say, I don't know taxes, how am I supposed to compare these two? I don't even know what they're saying. Cool, you don't have to. AI can do it like that in an instant. Maybe it'll take a minute, but it will be able to take your transcript, compare it to your tax return. And if you want to get really fancy, you can take all the information, especially if we have this electronically, take all the information that you gave the tax preparer, the supporting documentation, upload that in there too. Let it match everything up. Let it ask questions. Again, tax fraud is not some incredibly widespread problem. Most tax preparers, they're doing a fine job. They're working their butts off. They're really trying to help. They're in the service industry for a reason because they want to help people. But apparently there's enough going on to make it worth taking easy steps. Get your tax return. Get an IRS.gov login and compare those two. Compare your transcript to the tax return. And if you don't know tax well enough to be comfortable with that, use a paid AI tool where the settings are such that they are not using your data for training, and use that tool to compare everything. Your tax return, your tax transcript from the IRS.gov, and if you can, even the supporting documentation that you gave to the accountant. Those are some easy steps. I know that'll take a little bit of time, but those are some relatively easy steps to make sure that everything matches up and you're not nearly as concerned about something going wrong with your federal taxes due to some joker who wants to do fraud. And again, 99+% of the time, you're going to be just fine. But maybe something stands out and you could even find a little mistake somewhere. Who knows? You don't know what that's going to help find. But these are easy steps just to make sure that you are in a good place from a tax filing standpoint and you can continue to retire with peace.